Welcome to the Geek Wave. We have some special guests with us here today. I'm so excited. This is everybody from the Robros. Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Hi, my name is Rohan. I am the engineer in the group.
I'm Yashi, and I did most of the level design. So, yeah, I'm the designer.
Greetings, Earth people. This is Lee C Squared. I'm the producer of the team. Thank you for having us on here today, Kimmy.
You're very welcome.
So let's tell people what the Robros is.
I know. Hey, this is my first time having guests ever on the Geek Wave that I'm in charge.
This is exciting.
So
you guys are EAE grad students, and Robros is the game that you are releasing at the end of this year.
Oh, yes.
Before.
Yeah. So, somewhere around April.
Yeah. All right.
March, April, I guess.
Yes, that's correct. We'll be releasing our game at around mid-April. That'll be a requirement for our master's thesis project.
Nice.
And we'll be showcasing our game at a special open house that the EAE department will be holding by the end of April, just before our graduation ceremony. So,
wow.
Yeah, it'll be held sometime on the 27th or so. Yeah, around that day.
Around there.
Yeah,
It's on reading day.
right.
Yeah.
I don't remember which day that is, but it's on reading day at the end of April.
Right, like the week before finals.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit more about the game?
Well, Robros is a one-of-a-kind strategy action shooter game that we developed. The gameplay is split into two phases. First part, we have the player plot their path on a big 2D map that shows a big overlay of the level that you're trying to play through. You take a vector path on the level, and you collect batteries along the way in order to make your path. And once you reach the end, you then switch into 3D mode, which is your typical 3D action shooter. So that in that phase, you as the shooter protect your robot companion who keeps you powered. You stay within like a circle on the that delivers you energy, and as you go along, your companion follows the path that you plotted. So you have to stick with your companion along the whole way, and shoot. And you have to shoot enemies as you go down the path.
So are you protecting the companion or?
Yes.
Okay.
The game as a whole is pretty much like escort missions.
That's really cool. That's
So-
very different.
Some people hate escort missions. I remember talking with, I think it was Corinne. I was taking one of her classes, and she was talking about how she hated escort missions a lot. So what kind of like spin do you guys put on it that you think makes it really exciting?
So before the game wasn't an escort game. First it was just a railroad shooter.
Okay.
So you were the only guy in that team, only guy in the level, and you would follow the path that you plotted in the 2D level. So that's the only thing you had. But now since we got a lot of player feedback, and they wanted us to have free movement in maybe a certain amount of space. So
Okay.
that's the reason we had the payload put in, so we can move freely while the payload follows the path that we have plotted.
Okay. So your first level is to pick the path that the payload is going to follow. And then the second part of that level is to protect the payload while it goes throughout that predetermined path.
Yeah, that's correct.
I think
Got it. That actually is
the fact that you choose the path that the payload follows. I think that's really the biggest issue people have with escort missions, right? Is that the stupid CPU doesn't know where to
Yeah.
go and keeps getting itself into trouble.
I feel like that adds a whole nother level of strategy to this game. Just
Exactly,
because
yeah. I
You
mean-
get to pick, and so when something goes wrong, you can't blame it on the computer.
Yeah.
Exactly. And in the 2D level, there is a different level of enemy densities all over the level. So you have to plan according to the number of ammo that you have, the number of battery that you might have left. So you have to plan everything in advance before you start the 3D level.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of we give you a heat map, and you kind of get to decide what kind of experience you want in the 3D.
Okay.
So yeah, you can try to do the stealth thing, avoid the enemies, go through the longer route, or you could just go all shooting and go insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, we wanted to give players like the choice to make their own path along the 2D map, which they enact in 3D. So they can choose to go like a short way that involves avoiding as many enemies as possible, or they can if they want to go all out, they can try a longer way, purposely plot paths all over the map before reaching the end, so they can try to get a high score when they finish the level. I mean, we implemented like a leaderboard, a scoreboard kind of system that measures the number of enemies you've beaten, the number of headshots that you made, and the accuracy of your shots.
Okay. Is there multiple levels? Is it a story? What's pushing you to keep playing this game?
So that's one of the reasons why we have the score thing. So once you get the feel of the game, you might want to take more risks.
Okay.
And yes, there are multiple levels. So every level is different from the previous one. We have new types of enemies in the second and the third level. So as of now, we've got 3 levels ready. So the second and third are slightly more complicated.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like we measured our way through like the proper incrementation of the difficulty.
Okay.
So you guys mentioned that originally this game was just an on-rail shooter. And I know that in any game development process, but especially in soon game development process, games change a ton.
Yep.
What other big changes can you tell us any stories about like things you thought you were originally going to do that now you're like, oh, that was a bad idea, or you completely changed course from?
Yes,
Well, yeah, I didn't join in the team until halfway through our second semester of our first year, so they can explain how they made the first iteration of our game.
So the idea was to give that player the feel of killing the enemies. So we had this one mechanic in which you go on a shooting spree. Like there was like a horde of enemies coming, like Left 4 Dead. I don't know if you guys have played that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had that in mind. But looking at like some people might want to still go for stealth thing, so we decided
Okay.
to avoid it. So it's kind of like we have had like 3 playtest sessions in which more than 50 people have played our games,
Yeah.
and based on the feedback, we've always iterated the game in the best possible way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, before the game was a particular railroad shooter, but the story behind the game was the scientist. There is a scientist who has been trapped in a prison, and the prison is now infested by zombies. So the scientist makes his friend, who's a robot, and who's a really simple robot. He doesn't do much. So he gives him a path to follow to reach him. That was the original idea that we had. But in the first playtest that we had, the zombies that we got, those were Nazi zombies. So people mostly hated them. They were like, no, first of all, we don't like zombies, and about that they are Nazis. So then we were like, okay, fine, let's change these things. So we thought of a sci-fi theme. So now we have an idea where it's a robot creating factory, I guess.
Okay.
So where they are creating lots of advanced robots, and somehow a computer virus breaks out, and that the computer virus has infested all the robots that are present there except these 2 guys. Now these 2 guys are really simple robots, like household cleaning robots, and they are not wirelessly connected to the server there, so they didn't get infected. So now their job is to kill these guys and make sure that everything is fine again.
So the underdog robots have to kill the rest of the
Yes.
super robots?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Go
Who
for it.
doesn't like an underdog story?
Yeah. Our robot protagonists, we probably didn't develop like until like late on in our development. So by the time we had to implement the payload gameplay mechanic in our game, that's when I came up with the whole story premise about these two robots working together to try to escape the prison. So their names are they're acronyms similar to like Wall-E from Disney. So the payload robot, the battery robot who provides the power and plans the path, his name is Bert. Acronym for Battery Utility Robot Technician.
Nice.
Nice.
And his companion is Ernie.
Ernie.
Yeah. Industrial robotic engineer, robotic net engineer. So, you can don't tell Sesame Street.
So it's Bert and Ernie, the Row Bros.
Yeah.
That's great.
So yeah, Bert is the a mobile battery robot similar to the Gonk droid from Star Wars.
Everybody loves those Gonk droids.
Yeah, I love them too. I love them ever since I was little. That's actually where I got the main inspiration for the design of the battery robot from.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's a combination of the Gonk droid and a bit of the Sandcrawler from the movies, and he also got a bit of Wall-E mixed in with him because we love that little guy. So yeah, so he supplies battery energy for Ernie. While Ernie, he's more of the like a robot operator who has to learn how to use like weapons along the way and to protect Bert. So Ernie has a bit of the like C-3PO design to him, but he's a little bit more badass since he can carry around guns and he doesn't complain all the time.
All right. So, in the development process, what would you say has been one of the hardest things that you guys have had to do, or the hardest parts of the ongoing process?
So I think the hardest part is introducing a new feature without being able to, without being sure that will it work or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because with the features that are already there, we've already got like over 100 people playing and approving that feature, and we know where the shortcomings are. So when we try to introduce a new feature and change the feel of the game, so that is something that we need to look into, like think a lot about before we do that.
Yeah.
So that's like the hardest thing that we face in the development process.
Yeah, and it's so hard. It's so hard being in the development process, like knowing exactly how the feature works from start to finish, and then like playing. You can play it over and over again, but you're still never going to have the same perspective as someone who has no idea what
what's
it
going-
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and having said that, there's also one thing that you can't make a game with the existing features because your game has to be different from everything that's out there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and the big challenge is that whenever we try to introduce a new feature, we really have to come up with a big justification of why it's in there because our professors are very critical and scrutinizing of whatever we put in that game. They'll always ask us, why is it in there? Is it there to solve a particular problem? And how does this make our game better? So
Everything you put in your game has to do work for you, right?
right, and I think when we had that rail shooter thing at first, I mean, when it was, like standard mobile, one of our, teachers, who was the department head of EAE, he was overjoyed because he loved that kind of genre of games. And also when you had that unique mechanic of planning your path first and then just shooting along as you go. Similar to like traditional rail shooter games, and similar to like sort of the Buzz Lightyear Disney
Yeah.
kind of ride.
Yeah.
He really loved that, and he thought that really helped stand out because we were calling out to a classic genre but putting a new twist on it. However, by the start of our second year, some of our professors thought that we had to adhere to some of the more modern trends of video game culture. So that means we had to adhere to what shooter fans loved about the fundamental aspects of
Yeah.
FPS gameplay, and that means you had to move around.
Yeah, I really think that's really one of the core features of SPSs is the two-stick movement.
Yeah.
Exactly. We were a bit heartbroken that we had to dump it, but once we figured out, what new thing we had to implement, we kind of got over it.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, every time you introduce a new feature, there would be that one guy
Yeah.
who says like, you know what, I like the previous one better. And then there are people who say that, oh, this is really cool. So we are always stuck in that dilemma.
On my game team, we always have that problem, and we often have the opposite problem too, where it's like one person says, I think we should change this. And then we have to spend a week discussing how we could change it before somebody speaks up and goes, wait, why are we changing this? Like it was working before.
So I'm sitting at a table with all the people on the other side of this major, like, I don't know how many times you have art assets and you're like, look at these beautiful art assets. And then one person's like, I don't like that. So you get to like start over.
So that's the thing, when our game began, like we had this one vision and we did not have any artist. Yeah, and everything that we started our game with, we were like so in love with this idea that we had no artist, and we said we want to make this by hook or by crook. So we went to the asset store, we looked for the assets that went along with each other. We purchased those assets, and luckily now we have one artist and she's doing amazing work.
Yeah, and looking at your video,
I'm
like it looks
seeing
pretty
it.
good.
Yep, thank you.
Especially in the 3D view. All of the textures look really nice, and I actually also really like the UI overlay for the 2D mode.
It looks really clean from what I'm seeing. That's
So
my least favorite thing is a really cluttered UI. I don't like cluttered UI.
Yeah, we actually got an artist who's back home in India.
Oh yeah.
He's my friend. He's my school friend, and I contacted him and talked to him about the game and asked if he could help us. So the robot that you're looking at, the player robot that we have, most of them is created by him.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I pretty much was his main method of communication. So he was the one who created the robots, and he does very very good work.
What's it like to have the communication back and forth between two different countries to develop a game? Does that make things difficult?
It was a new experience, but necessary considering that I'm like the sole producer for this team. So it actually was really gratifying gaining all these correspondence skills, especially in regards to when you're communicating with someone who's out of country.
Yeah.
But our Rohan's friend, he understood very well. He got the gist of what we were trying to aim for, and I also provided him like lots of reference images of the kind of robot that we wanted. So he actually responded very well.
That's really good. That's cool.
Yeah.
I had a question, and it just went. So I turned to Jeremy and went,
Yeah.
"You so."
The game
have a
design
question."
process is I mean, you guys have been working on this game for almost a year and a half,
Yes.
correct?
Yep.
Wow.
So tell me a little bit because a lot of us being students, very few of us actually know what it's like to work on something for that long.
Yeah.
Right? Was this a new experience for you guys too, to have a single project that you worked on over a long period of time? Like,
So before this project, the biggest one that we did was for a month.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the thing, when you play a game for too long, you kind of know the positives and the negatives. And that's the reason why playtesting is so important, because
Yeah.
you need fresh eyes to look at them. So you need someone new to tell you that where this game is lacking, because you've played that game so many times. So you just get used to like everything. So
Yeah.
that's one thing.
Okay, I remembered my question. So in development, right? I remember getting an email from Lee talking about how you guys had some unexpected bugs in one of your newest builds. What is right now? What's your toughest bug that you've got that you're trying to get rid of?
If that's not classified
Yeah.
information.
That's a thing too.
Yeah, the toughest bug.
Yeah. What's the toughest bug you guys have had to overcome?
So, looking at the concept of our game, you know how it's transitioning from 2D to 3D?
Yeah.
So, like, getting that exactly mapped to the points in 3D, that was like one of the toughest thing that we had to face.
I can't even imagine doing
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes Bird wouldn't move from the very beginning of the map, and he would sometimes get stuck in one of the walls because because we still have clipping issues with our game. And
That sounds so cute when you say it like that, though. Sometimes Bert wouldn't move. Sometimes he'd get stuck in walls. Like, oh, Bert, we gotta fix you.
Ernie, help me out.
Yeah, that's the thing. So whenever we plan a new level, the main thing, that the important things that come after that is to make sure that level is properly implemented. The path
Yeah.
that gets is well constrained between the walls and nothing goes out. So that thing is more important. This, designing is one thing, and that's one other.
What engine are you guys building this in?
Unity.
Unity?
Yep.
All right, cool. We're almost out of time. Why don't you guys tell us, if people, your game's coming out in late April, if people want to try to support the game right now, what are some things that they can do?
So they could stop by and play our game at GDC,
Okay.
or they could stop by or play our game at the Reading Day event, the EAE launch party.
Uh-huh.
And we have our Facebook page and everything ready. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and we have our website.
Yeah, EAE-robros.weebly.com. So we also have our Facebook page and Twitter page at EAE Robros, all that in one. So, please, if you want, they can contact our main email for like eaerobros@gmail.com, or they can contact me, the producer, at leecc@gmail.com. I'm more than happy to provide a link to a copy of a build of our game if they really wish to play it. We'll be releasing this game on the Steam platform and along with any other digital distribution system. Completely for free. This will be a proof of concept game that we'll make available to any developer who wishes to pick it up.
Nice.
Cool.
Are you guys going through Greenlight?
Yeah.
Yeah, at the moment we are poised for Greenlight, but
Okay.
in regards to the recent news that they're going to be dumping it, we're considering other options at the moment.
Yeah. I don't know. When are they dumping it? They're not doing it.
That's not known.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately,
So you guys got to get on there now.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when you guys go up on Greenlight, we'll be sure to share links to that, and we will help you get greenlit, just like we did Counter Agents.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. We
Yes.
really appreciate that.
Yeah, we're very happy that you guys collaborated with Counter Agents to
Yeah.
get some publicity, and we're very honored that you brought us here to our show. It was a sheer stroke of luck that I managed to find you guys.
What? We're
I don't know, it's pretty-
everywhere.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thanks. Anything else that you'd like to say?
Come support Robros.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Well,
I love you, Mom.
Thanks for watching, all of you, and
Perfect.
be sure
So
to have
you
a
guys
good
are going to
weekend
GDC.
and
Geek out.
Me.
Hi guys, thanks for watching that video from the Geek Wave. If you liked it, there's more over here. As always, like and subscribe below. And if you want more Geek Wave content, you can always go to our Facebook and Twitter pages. And then after that, if you've found what floats your boat, go to thegeekwave.com.